The most deeply concerning and terrifying thing that's happening right now is that Trump is politicizing the military, and that's the most frightening thing.
Would allow a state of emergency to be declared on the basis of alleged Chinese interference.
Absolutely all the steps he is currently taking within the United States, preparatory steps for the eventual usurpation of power.
Lately, there has been a lot of talk and concern about Trump potentially trying to seize power in the United States. He himself has repeatedly stated that the Constitution isn't great right now because it limits him to serving only 2 terms. Nevertheless, changing this without huge consequences, including impeachment, is impossible. Recently, some news reports have pointed to possible authoritarian moves to expand control over elections, especially ahead of the midterms. A draft emergency order, a 17-page draft executive order, would allow a state of emergency to be declared on the basis of alleged Chinese interference, as in 2020, to ban mail-in voting machines and take extraordinary control over the elections. Election interference. Trump is pushing for the nationalization of elections, transferring control to the federal government, contrary to the Constitution, and so on, and also the exclusion of the opposition. Trump cancelled meetings with Democratic governors at the White House, intensifying polarization and consolidating power. These may only be the harbingers and first steps. How power is actually seized and how imperceptibly it happens, we will discuss with our expert, our studio guest. Good afternoon.
Former graduate of the Academy of Foreign Intelligence, the elite training institution of the Soviet Foreign Intelligence Service. During his government service, he was involved in the planning and execution of special operations. After leaving state service, he relocated abroad and has since worked with private corporations specializing in the collection and analysis of sensitive intelligence, as well as in providing strategic security support for business operations in high-risk and conflict-prone regions.
So, in your professional opinion, is there anything that indicates that Trump could do this somewhat imperceptibly? Could he be taking a gradual series of steps rather than acting immediately and not in a way that is obvious to everyone, slowly taking over power or moving things in that specific direction?
Yes, I really do think so. Moreover, Trump is doing this quite openly. I think the only thing he's being dishonest about so far is that he doesn't intend to run for a 3rd term. From my perspective, it truly seems to me that this is the only thing he is desperately trying to hide. Therefore, yes, in my personal opinion, absolutely all the steps he is currently taking within the United States, the decisions he makes, the executive orders he issues, and the actions he has already taken, every single one of these are extremely serious and calculated prerequisites. Preparatory steps for the eventual usurpation of power.
You need to commit yourself fully and move your entire focus and energy in that specific direction, making sure that every step you take is aligned with your path without any hesitation or deviation from the course. For example, in what specific ways could this be done imperceptibly, without provoking impeachment and without bypassing the established system of checks and balances? Perhaps we could talk about that.
All right then, I will try to be as brief as I can. If someone has read the foundational works of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, or the writings of Vladimir Ulyanov, better known as Lenin, or, in any case, is interested in historical events, they will likely recall that. Let's think about what exactly needs to be done for, let's say, starting a revolution. We all remember the telegraph, industrialists, the military, and so on. Basically, Trump is acting exactly according to this sequence. Let's first look at the aspect of force. Yes, what can support the power of an autocrat? First and foremost, let's look closely at the formation of the power bloc. From the very beginning, Trump strategically placed his most loyal supporters in every single key position. This includes the FBI with Kash Patel, the Pentagon with Pete Hegseth, and various others like Kristi Noem and so on. That is the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, and Homeland Security. He put his people everywhere, despite the fact that there were a lot of questions about them, and now there are even more in Congress. So what happened next? Trump dismissed almost everyone: independent watchdogs, special prosecutors, and the Special Institute. he fired them all. What happens next? So these individuals are actually the people who, as far as I know, they are appointed and dismissed by Congress. This was done by Trump. Then the systematic purges of the agencies began. Kash Patel orchestrated the removal of almost all FBI employees who were not demonstrably loyal toward Trump, or who, let's say, had participated in various federal investigations. Investigations involving Trump, where Trump was mentioned. All these people were fired. Even this morning, we hear in the news that all employees who, in one way or another, who to some significant extent were actively involved in the deep investigation of Trump, in the investigation, let's say, of Trump's specific actions, specifically regarding the removal of classified information and so forth. If you recall the high-profile events when he, even to the point that there were FBI searches at Mar-a-Lago, so these people were fired. The Pentagon. Virtually everyone has been dismissed. Generals, admirals, and colonels who are not loyal to Trump. The most deeply concerning and terrifying thing that's happening right now is that Trump is politicizing the military, and that's the most frightening thing. That is, Donald Trump even went so far as to state at one of the meetings with the U.S. generals and admirals that those who do not share his position should stand up and immediately leave the room. But after that, they will be completely stripped off and deprived of all ranks, honors, and bonuses for their service. This is nonsense. America, according to the law of the United States of America, the Army and the Navy are, by definition, apolitical. But Trump is politicizing them.
It becomes highly politicized.
Yes.
And let's turn to the feelings of the officers. You are a former special officer, so what will they think if they are used for someone else's purposes, and they don't even know exactly for what purposes, or what their future holds? How do they feel? You surely communicate with officers as well. In the US?
I'll tell you, they feel very uneasy about this. First of all, no one is entirely sure, because many of these people have spent several decades working in dangerous environments, in high-risk zones, constantly risking their very lives, sometimes on a daily basis, for their own country. And now, what is truly at stake here is the very real possibility that you could be left with absolutely nothing, no money at all and no pension whatsoever, simply because, let us just say, you are not rushing headlong to kiss up to Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth or perhaps someone else entirely, like Kash Patel, for example. So, of course, their feelings right now are absolutely terrible. And that's a problem. The thing is, for example, agencies like the FBI, the CIA, that is, federal agencies, the military, it's not by accident, by default. They all have to be apolitical. That's the only way they can do their job. It's like macrophages in the body. They exist under any government. They don't care who the president is, Democrat or Republican. They always have their own job to do. They're the body's macrophages, if you think of the state as an organism. And Trump is trying to bring all of this under his control. That is the clearest sign we have. It is a blatant and undeniable usurpation of power. Because let me ask you a very serious question. How exactly? How can you effectively fight corruption or combat other dangerous forms of activity like treason if we are talking about high-ranking officials, in this specific case in America, who, for example, might work with a third party? How do you check the president himself if the entire system is completely compromised? The current director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, a man who has recently published picture books for children, will stand to salute and obey any statement by Trump. How? Where's the impartiality? There won't be any. There isn't any. This is usurpation.
But for now, the system of checks and balances is still functioning.
It seems to me quite ephemeral. That's a claim.
You mean the recent political situation with Congress, that it was not even aware of the secret operation with Maduro?
And that too. Notice how Trump's people behave, as well as a number of others already mentioned, when they are called to testify before Congress. They shout over senators and congressmen, and now it has reached the point where they openly insult congressmen. The question arises about the legitimacy of Congress itself, or more precisely, about its capabilities. When Congress summons certain Republicans, for example, regarding the Epstein files, they simply don't even show up. So, while I digressed a little bit, please do forgive me,
But
my
that's
dear
important,
viewer.
nevertheless.
Nevertheless, the military and security bloc is obvious. Furthermore, Trump, realizing that he lacked the authority to deploy the National Guard to control the states, since the National Guard of each individual state ultimately belongs to that specific state, he began creating his own proxy in the form of ICE. No one really understands what their authority is now. It seems to be a federal agency, but they are not accountable to anyone. A little more, and they might even get heavy weaponry. I honestly wouldn't be surprised at all.
But they're already killing people.
Unfortunately, yes. And the scariest part is that the FBI won't even investigate these serious crimes because there's Kash Patel, because there's Kristi Noem, and because there are so many others. Most other people on the ground,
And in fact, there's basically no one to even investigate it. And none of the other agencies,
absolutely no one is ever going to deal
not
with
even
this.
the prosecutor.
They will just laugh right in your face. In Congress, they tend to ask these specific kinds of questions during their hearings. They just laugh in their faces at congressmen, senators, and the citizens of their own country whose money they live on. Kash Patel, who Congress is raising questions to him, saying they have information about Kash Patel. There is a conflict of interest. He has shares, investments in a Chinese company, and at the same time, he is the director of the FBI, who is supposed to fight against Chinese influence and interference, including technical and economic espionage, in the United States. Kash Patel, who criticized the former FBI director for frequently using the official jet, flies to the Olympic Games to cheer for Team USA in the finals, drinks beer in the locker room, and it seems, flies on that very same plane. Apparently all the problems in America have been solved. So that's if we're talking about the security sector. Let's turn to the next group, the industrialists, as Lenin used to say. Here too, everything is coming together. Trump has successfully consolidated the wealthiest people in the US around himself. In fact, they were the ones who pushed him into power. We've already talked about this topic before, though I only touched on it briefly. Who brought Trump to power? Well, for everyone. It's obvious to everyone that he doesn't possess the intellectual or any other abilities to, let's put it this way, if everything were on equal terms, he would have no chance of taking power.
So who, in your opinion, might be able to help us out?
The wealthiest people in the US. You can open any news source and see who secured victory in several states at once.
Well, yes, Elon Musk.
Who simply paid for it with money. And others did the same. These are the main beneficiaries of all of Trump's actions. Just look at what's happening. The majority of Americans, the overwhelming majority, are small and medium-sized business owners, if you set aside government employees and certain other categories like military personnel. The main thing that keeps America going is small and medium-sized business. Trump's actions, including his so-called tariff successes, are essentially destroying this layer of small and medium-sized businesses. That is, the middle class, turning everyone into the lower income class, if not outright poor. At the same time, less than 1% of Americans continue to get richer, but at a supersonic speed. How should we define this, if not as usurpation? That is, the most affluent social class in America, in Lenin's terms, the industrialists and financiers, are Trump's primary political stronghold. And that's why Trump is advantageous for them.
And Musk, by the way, regretted it, I think, but then he backed down. Later, he didn't criticize Trump too harshly,
But now he is a hostage to the game he got himself into. Here's another small argument. I think we've understood by now that the wealthiest class in America are the beneficiaries of Trump's actions. In other words, it's in their interest for Trump to be in power. And let's take a look. Lenin used the word telegraph. We haven't used telegrams for a long time now. That is, we're talking about the media. You yourself are a professional representative of the media, and one of the most successful at that. Looking at your fellow citizens and colleagues, tell me, have you personally witnessed or observed any signs of unfair usurpation or the growing monopolization of the media market in the United States? Let's start with the case of Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, his most recent behavioral actions. Then he fired over half of his entire staff, which included many individuals who were working in conflict hotspots, including those in Ukraine.
The Washington Post, and pay attention to Trump's elitism. That is, representatives of the media who ask uncomfortable questions are basically no longer allowed into the presidential press pool. Not even questions that are offensive to Trump, but simply those that are inconvenient for him. Trump has frequently and openly declared that all media, especially those of a liberal political persuasion, or let's say those specific media outlets that try to critically analyze and observe the situation, he openly states that they are hostile to his agenda. What is this if not usurpation? And the cherry on top. This is Trump's open intention to make changes to the electoral law of the United States of America. Trump is trying to centralize the list of registered voters. Let me remind you about the list of registered voters. This is the property of each state and is classified information. Trump is demanding that these lists be provided to the FBI, to Kash Patel, ICE. According to Trump is simply testing things out. You see, he throws out different words, different solutions. He's trying to see where he can get through. So, what is the latest news? ICE needs to be physically present at the polling stations. Now, Trump has clearly stated that during voting, verification should only be done with a passport or an ID card. But, as far as I know, the overwhelming majority of Americans, well, definitely more than 70%, have never had a passport. They've simply never even left the United States.
Even better if everyone has IDs. All IDs. I think there are more Trump supporters among those people, so isn't that worse for him?
You are completely and absolutely correct. Just yesterday and early this morning on my way here, after watching a news segment from several different American channels, I heard a very intriguing and thought-provoking perspective from some analysts. A political analyst who carefully observed and pointed out that, despite the fact that the Democrats are categorically opposed to the measure and see this as a direct attempt to undermine and weaken their chances, to weaken the Democrats' chances in the upcoming election. Regarding the upcoming general elections in November, the simple truth is that Trump, as he always seems to do, will likely end up hurting his own campaign once again. This is because, according to the findings of this analyst and his research, it is precisely the marginal segment of Americans who support Trump, his core base of voters, who frequently do not possess these required legal documents.
Shooting yourself in the foot?
Let's hope so.
But to add a note of objectivity, you can't deny that every president, including Joe Biden, when he came to power and took the presidential seat, he also fired thousands of Trump appointees and put his own people in place. That is, every president appoints their own ministers, heads of agencies, ambassadors, and federal judges. Of course, it's one thing when a Democrat does this, and quite another when it's Trump, for whom the main thing isn't the law but money. But nevertheless, to be more objective, it's fair to say that everyone puts their own people in place.
Well, of course, every single president selects and appoints his own administrative team. But I don't personally recall a case where Biden has violated in any way the provisions of the Constitution or other statutory legal regulations regulating his activities in the United States of America. I find it quite hard to believe that if Biden tried to summarily dismiss wadjocks or did something similar to what Trump is doing, that the Republicans in Congress would just silently accept it. No. Yes, that is certainly true. He brings in his own team, but he operates strictly within the established framework, just like everyone before him, except for Trump. I'm not even talking about the fact that if President Biden or President Obama had allowed themselves to do what Trump frequently refers to, if in his speech he had called Republicans idiots and lunatics, he would have been absolutely torn apart and eaten alive by the media. Right there in Congress, they would have eaten him alive. but Trump consistently manages to evade any real consequences. And it is crucial to carefully observe one important psychological aspect. So what I'm talking about now is essentially such an incredibly extensive form of social manipulation. I think for you and for me, it's quite familiar to see a scene where the leader of the Soviet Union is giving a speech, and now, in this particular case, whether it is Putin or in your specific case Lukashenko or someone else like Nazarbayev, it really doesn't matter, even Kim Jong-un or Xi Jinping. After every single sentence they speak, all of the delegates and deputies who are present stand up immediately to applaud. And there are thunderous ovations. Trump's last speech in Congress outdid even North Korea. At least there they are constantly standing and clapping, and then in any case for a long time their leader speaks. Trump couldn't even finish a sentence before J.D. Vance and the running mate, the honorable congressman sitting directly to his left at the table, would jump up with thunderous applause. It really feels like, there's a small children's toy. You push it down into the box and then it suddenly jumps out just like a little devil out of a snuff box. This is a complete disgrace to the United States of America. And this is already preparation. After all, this is exactly what happens in autocracies. It is enough for the leader to come out and say, "I brought the golden age." Applause. Democrats. Idiots. Applause. People don't realize that in fact he considers everyone an idiot. But that's exactly how it works in an autocracy. And it's terrible to see this in the United States of America. That is, even the visual presentation, pay attention to that. In Trump's speech, I didn't hear anything concrete at all. Not a single instruction to Congress, which is usually present in such addresses. That's what US presidents usually do. They clarify the course the whole year has already passed. They give some instructions or recommendations to Congress or the parties. But no, now it's the golden age, basically. These are the best times for America because Trump became president. That's it.
The cult of power that exists in the world today, and it's not just about the USA. At the end of our conversation today, I have to say, it leaves me as a person, and probably you as well, in a bit of a stupor and confusion. Those pillars of democracy, the foundations of peace and stability in the world, the division of poles, who is responsible for what, spheres of influence, they have for a long time, more or less, they remained in the same place, and in principle everything was predictable. Yes, there were wars, but everyone knew that there was the USA, where the foundation was the principles of democracy. Now, both at the everyday level and at the political level, unfortunately, it turns out that the winner is not the one who acts according to the law, not the one who wants to ensure that global norms are not violated, but the one who simply bares their teeth, the one who... They have strength, immense power, and truly believe they are free to do exactly as they please. What will this ultimately lead to in the world? This is a more philosophical question. Should we be afraid, rely only on ourselves? What should we do?
In conclusion, I would like to say the following, and this also answers your question. Of course, we need to start with ourselves and rely on ourselves. Therefore, speaking directly to both you and first and foremost to our dear audience, I truly believe that we should not remain detached from the world of politics. We can distance ourselves from it, isolate ourselves, but it will never isolate itself from us, and decisions will be made without us. That's why we need to educate ourselves, we need to read and stay interested. After all, everything that is happening now and what you mentioned is really true. Right now, unfortunately, there is a demand in the world, let's put it this way, for elderly autocrats, to put it figuratively, in other words, for autocracy. How did this happen? It's actually very simple. Society has long since begun to become marginalized. At first it was one way, but then everyone started to come to the conclusion that we don't need too many educated people. Conveniences also make us relax. Not to the point of opening a book, reading, studying, or carefully listening to an opponent. People open up, listen to ChatGPT, or read the news very quickly without even delving into the essence, not even spending effort to verify whether what a person has read is actually true. In those countries where there are a lot of benefits, social benefits, this is exactly what's happening now. That is to say, individuals in our modern society have become so fragile, primarily in a mental and moral sense, that they turn out to be completely caught off guard and defenseless when faced with an openly marginal type of personality, who acts much like a predatory and ravenous wild animal, tearing and raging. The more aggressive he is, the more chances he has to survive. That's why we must strive to educate ourselves. We must continually expand our own knowledge. Diverse skills and unique abilities in order to clearly see and understand what is happening and who exactly we are dealing with, and what we are talking about.
And in order to understand all this, we urge our viewers to also check information themselves, to verify it. To provide a comprehensive summary of our entire conversation today, during one of your previous answers, I asked an advanced neural network which has access to all the available information to summarize the following. What would you consider to be the 3 most brazen actions taken by Donald Trump? In his second term, a full year has now passed since he returned to the White House, since his initial entry. And, it's not even to do whatever he wants. An additional wing of the White House needs to be built for holding balls and so on. That's already considered a minor thing. Let me remind you, the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and control over the country's oil. Why is this important? Trump declared America first, promised to avoid interventions. And he captured Maduro. Yes, Maduro is a criminal. Maduro is undemocratic, but doesn't this undermine global security by violating sovereignty and international law without notifying Congress? We talked about this in one of our previous episodes. Please watch it if you can do so now. Second, pardoning the participants of the Capitol riot, 1,600 people accused of attacking the police, including cases where there were victims. In other words, it's a reward for loyalty and essentially a threat to democracy. The law doesn't work. And third, the Retribution campaign, meaning the persecution of political opponents through the DOJ, that is, the Department of Justice. In other words, all those who are disloyal. Former FBI Director Comey, Prosecutor Letitia James, and others are fired. In other words, a culture of revenge has been created, with 470 or more targets, including the media and officials. So all of this completely transcends any of our long-standing established norms. And sometimes it becomes frightening. Perhaps you could also share a final word of advice for our viewers before we go.
I recently watched a documentary with great interest and found it fascinating. The latest interview with Robert De Niro. If anyone hasn't seen it, I recommend finding it online and watching it. I was truly and deeply touched by the incredible way that Robert De Niro expressed his innermost thoughts. He was so remarkably sincere and completely open with us, and there was one specific phrase he said that has really stuck with me and resonated in my mind ever since. And I would probably like to repeat it for our viewers as well. Right now it's a situation where there is no either or. It's impossible to just sit it out. Sometimes you have to walk into the fire and fight. There's no other way. Otherwise, the fire will consume you. Don't be afraid. Unite. You must step directly into the fire and confront it head on. If you simply wait for things to resolve themselves, then what is happening now is precisely the outcome you will continue to face. Because, as there are other wise words spoken by one of the most influential and respected figures in history, let's put it that way, evil triumphs when good people simply do nothing. And then evil prevails. And all that's needed is to act, to do something. And for the citizens of the United States of America, just as is the case with no other nation on this earth, they possess a unique constitution that grants them the fundamental and sacred constitutional right to fight against the illegal usurpation of power, as well as to firmly oppose any authority that leads to the total destruction of the United States of America itself and the systematic oppression of its own people. So, once again, I say to you, do not be afraid. You must be willing to go directly into the fire, and then, strangely enough, we will find that we shall not burn. Your continued inaction only serves to compel and provoke even more aggressive actions from the other side. Never allow yourself to forget your dignity, your rights, and remember, by fighting today, you are securing your own future. Tomorrow, if we are speaking in the context of the current situation.
Yes, we know better than anyone else what authoritarianism leads to and the catastrophic consequences it brings. And indifference kills just as surely as a bullet. Well, thank you very much for this conversation, it was very important. And I hope you will help share this video so that as many people as possible learn about where this can lead. And if you like this video and it resonates with you, we will make a separate series with additional specific examples. We'll look at how this happened in other countries, how it could happen in the US, and the major global consequences it could have on the world map. Thank you very much for being with us. Please share this video with all of your friends to expand your knowledge together. Goodbye, and thank you very much.